All right, hey everybody. JNAP here, about to cast the GEMPC semifinal. Just had a quick hiccup, so we're gonna have to resolve this. The GEMPC league on GEMP expired, so we need to create a new one, and I will do that right now. So hang tight, creating league now. Because that's going to have certain parameters, which I think are like 45 minutes as opposed. So, I guess if anyone's in the chat, let me know if you can hear me okay. And let me know if you see the video. Let's see. They changed the dashboard recently for the better, but it's a little bit different. So I constructed the MPC 8 top 4. You sound good. Thank you, Tommy. All right, creating a new league. Today is 2024-04. We'll make it start. I guess we have to make it start today. It's all cards, allow time extensions, allow spectators, show players' names, invite only, registration info, time limit 45. And sorry for, we're not going to do premiere only. We're going to do open. Series duration, let's make this, let's play it safe and just do like 16 days. Minimum matches, let's call it 8. Preview constructed league, GEMPC 8, top 4, registration, invitation only, 45 minutes, time extensions, 300. Alright, I think we're good. So now I'll do add constructed league. Now I need to add the players to the league. Assuming that worked. Yep, alright, so now I need to add them. Thanks to everyone for bearing with me. This, I guess, snuck up because the league was created probably, what, 2.5 months ago or so. And just now we must have just hit the limit of the end of the frame. So I need to add players to the league. And for now, I'll just do MatthewHT and bibfortuna. Add players to the league. Okay. Okay. Just made it now. Alright, so added them both. Let's see if they're ready to fire now, and then we can do a little bit of a preview and get into the action. You see the GEMP lobby. Yep, that's what you should see. We're about to hop into the game. Let's see if they're able to post. So good morning if you're on the East Coast. I guess good afternoon if you're in Europe. And very early morning if you're in the west coast of the U.S. We have a lot of players in transit today, I believe, to the major this weekend in Indianapolis, the Eclipse event for the Total Eclipse on Monday. So hopefully maybe we'll have some folks listening while they're in some type of car, or probably not. It might be tough on a plane with Wi-Fi. All right, tables posted. I'll be able to hop in. Yeah, so this is a matchup of the number 8 overall seed, so effectively a 2 seed, Matthew Harrison Trainer, versus the number 100 overall seed, which I think if you do the math is a 25 seed in theory, because this is like a double typical bracket of 64 where we started at 128. bibfortuna, Nathan Russell, fellow from Oregon, I believe, and MHT, of course. Many people are familiar with, presumably just by the seeds, a favorite, but Nathan's been playing extremely well lately and has gone through many very good opponents lately. So we have the players revealing their starting hands. CCT versus No Idea. And this, I think, was actually the matchup that Nathan played against Greg Shaw in the quarterfinals, and he was CCT, and I'm pretty sure he took down Greg Shaw. Unfortunately, I haven't been keeping up on all the streams as much as I would like to, just with a lot of other stuff going on. Personally and for the professionally, I guess, for my job, and for, of course, the PC with the donations program being kind of its peak period right now. We will do a visual spoiler later of one of the alternate images for the 2024 series, so that'll be up here. We have our typical starting cards here: Walkling, Make 10 Men, and Insurrection for the No Idea objective, versus CCT, which is playing any methods necessary and taking, of course, Boba Fett, the Security Tower V, Despair, Boba Fett's blaster rifle. And does he take the ship too? It looked like yes. Slave 1, Symbol of Fear, which is not the AI. So we'll probably have our typical ramp up here. It looks like Nathan's using the pretty cool AI from a couple of years ago for the data vault. And in my experience, this heavily favors CCT. I even going back a few years, I played this matchup in Worlds against Bastion, and in addition to playing Bastion and being that what it is, basically a very, very, very small chance that I will win, I was no idea, and he was CCT, and I just felt like hopeless. I think CCT, it's very tough for no idea to attack into the audience chamber. Of course, you know, metas evolve and new cards are come out and make certain decks, ebb and flow. And we go from there. So MHT's dark. I don't have that on the screen right now. Nathan is light. No idea, because I didn't know what they were going to post exactly. So I think game 2 for this is not for a little bit. It's I could check that in a moment. But we have some shields played. Nathan pulls aim high. And this is a pretty templated first turn for MHT, for CCT, I should say, where you pretty much drop Boba down, you pick up the Mithril, and my accountant colleague here, Mithril accountant, move into the AC, flip, start retrieving, have some outs to protect against an early onslaught, and go from there. So MHT plays Accelerate, gets out the bridge. One of the ways that CCT can be set back a little bit here is if the audience chamber is activated, and then it sets back a turn. Of course, No Idea has so many spies in its deck that if it does miss the AC and Boba's got to just hang out in the security chamber, they're going to need to have that evasion to make sure that Boba Fett doesn't get whacked and that the Mithril gets released on Cloud City, and then that really throws a damper into the entire plan for carbon chamber testing. CCT's been played good amount lately. I think it was the second highest played deck in the March OCS, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it did surprisingly well. I know it's a deck that struggles against like heavy mains, especially mains that are Tatooine based or use I Must Be Allowed to Speak, which really helps the light side player find key cards. So we have Scum also come out from hand from MHT. So that's something that you don't always see. A lot of times that's in the reserve. It doesn't get deployed until turn 2, hopefully, because it's possible it gets activated then on turn 2. He's All Yours Bounty Hunter, of course, to move Boba, the captive, of course, the gun on Boba, which was a Lenny Rubin player card from several years ago that really made this deck viable. It's one of the examples that always comes to my mind when I think of making an old objective that might not see a lot of play actually relevant, and because the trickiest part is getting the captive off of Cloud City and into Jabba's Palace, I should say, and that happens. So MHT transfers, flips, draws a couple cards even, and that will be his first turn. So 45-minute timers on this, and this was mentioned because the league expired, going back to what at the beginning of this stream. If this ever happens to you, you should not just play a casual game, because casual games on GEMP are default to 60 minutes. They also show when anytime someone exits or enters the game to watch, so any spectators, that appears in the chat, so it can be distracting. Casual games also allow spectators to type and talk stuff, which not a lot of people do typically, but it's just a risk. You get some crazy person who starts yammering away in the chat while there's a pretty competitive game going on. It can be a problem. But the biggest thing is the timer, because these games are played under the auspices of a assumed time limit. So if you get 60 minutes, it really changes the game. Some players might choose different decks if they know it can go 60 minutes instead of 45 per side. Lots of locations coming out here for Nathan Russell. So that's just advice if you're ever in a league and it happens to expire, especially towards the end. Definitely contact a GEMP admin to set up a new one, which are myself or Gogolin or Taco Bill, Yoshi, Sam. Trying to think who else can do it. I think Sho can set them up too. But we have Saul come out to the beach. Both docking bays come out. Jerome Webb's going to go to the data vault, presumably going to pick up the Stardust and move over to the beach. And start threatening 3 damage. Mitchie's got a hand of 3. He's got Scum out. You will sometimes see Beaumont Kin, the resistance character, the guy who plays one of the elves, not the elves, the hobbits. I always forget. I think his name's Dominic. It's an Irish guy. He basically makes it so that the aliens don't get that deploy reduction on a related location, same and related location. So sometimes you'll see him come in to No Idea to help against Court and CCT because those decks both want to attack and battle. Obviously the same thing, but and benefit a lot off of that scum deploy benefit. So Cassian Andor is pretty big too to have him at the beach here. We got power 12, 3 characters, so he can cancel. I guess he can't cancel Destiny until there's a character in Lightside's Lost Pile. Battle Plan comes out to make MHT pay 3 if he wants to get that drain at 2 through, and passes the turn over. Does not. Yeah, he was able to draw a couple cards, 2 cards at the end there. So Secret Plans, Aim High, now both out. We start turn 2. So there was some discussion in the Slack main channel a few days ago about the Perfect Attendance foil, Perfect Attendance slash Top 16 AI foil slip for the Online Championship Series. So it's one that we'll spoil on this stream pretty soon. It's actually an image that I helped to procure, and reaching out to the artist, got permission for it. So it's kind of special to me, but it's relevant to this game. It's actually on the table right now, so we'll show that soon, and then if people want to take a look and watch it later. But the graphics team, proofing team, huge parts of making sure these new card images and alternate card images always come out looking so crisp and professional, and just graphically beautiful, really, in a lot of ways. All right, so MHT activates 13. Be an interesting turn here if he's gonna try to push a little damage through, or if he's going to try to attack the beach. bibfortuna's got only a 5-card hand. Somewhat of a small risk of a counterbeat, but at the beach, there's pretty much always a risk of a counterbeat, especially because No Idea has some ways to, filter the hand. You got Ray, you got Taidu Cephala, who can upload, or he draws bottom card of use pile when he's deployed, and they go down cheap because of course, the make 10 men effect here, deploy -1 to Scarif, Rebel Spies. Deck usually plays Ray. Melshi, who was in, of course, the Andor series, he helps upload. He can upload it to Trooper, so you have to be kind of careful of walking into a trap at the beach. Dominic Monaghan, that's what it is. Yep, thank you, London Sean. So yeah, and then MHT probably debating what he's going to do. So he does not pay the 3 to drain for 2. Both these decks, presumably retrieve a lot. No Idea is not gonna. Well, usually has Farm Boy Luke Skywalker V, who can retrieve 1 in space. But and then of course through battles, if it's drawing the spies for Destiny, it can retrieve them with make 10 men, retrieve a force. Of course, CCT's got the objective, retrieving 1 every control phase, and also from Scum every time it initiates battle. Plus, it's got things here and there like. It might have like Chelly or to retrieve it. There's different ways it can get stuff back. Yeah, Reflection V is a recent card that goes on Leia and helps retrieve a force per turn. Or it's during battle, right? If you initiate battle with Rebel Spy, we can pull that up real quick. Pull up Scomp. So Reflection V, pretty new card from set 22. Deploying a Rebel leader Leia. She's defense value, immunity, battleground, force strength +1. Whenever you initiate battle with a Rebel of ability less than 5, which is like most of the No Idea deck, retrieve 1 force. 2 if Leia's participating. So that really helps against I guess ISB for sure. You get that extra, and really just anything in general. But what was I just gonna say? This is an interesting play and game within game here of how space plays out. Typically CCT runs it has Jabba's Haven. He's already got on the table, but he doesn't want to put out Nal Hutta quite yet because battle plan. Whoever can satisfy that has a big advantage in this, especially late game. What I see a lot of times is CCT really tries to put pressure at the system, and then in doing this, it enables him to now get his drains through on the ground without paying for them. And the No Idea player has to figure out, hey, do I want to challenge space? When do I challenge space? How do I challenge space? What things do I have to give up early game? So in potentially exchange for deploying space cards to deal with this. But CCT, of course, like Scum, it's got a lot of characters. He's probably got 4 or 5 ships in here, and he can just keep pressuring and potentially potentially consistently being the one who's initiating the battle, which would favor him. So that's obviously a pretty pro play, I would say. So now he's threatening a drain of 2 and 1 for free, whereas Nathan's doing 2 that would cost 3 and 1. They're activating the same amount of force. Both players have several non-battlegrounds out that could come into play late game. And to what extent each player wants to go there with their cards, CCT probably has at least 3 spies, maybe. Probably's got a Probot and probably a Chelly, and who else am I missing? I don't know if Chelly's making the cut. Dr. Chelly or Chelly Afra, I think she usually makes the cut in CCT, right? All right, Matthew's gonna activate on Nathan's turn here. Maybe after this turn we'll do the image spoiler. Just don't want to do it right in the middle of like a battle or something like that. Obviously, so Stardust pings for 1. That's what I was gonna say too. Just but set 22 and set 23 preview set, right, was the new Jin Heroic Rebel, and she increases the damage potential for No Idea as well, which was starting to wane in power level compared to the rest of the meta. So he does pay to drain. So got a couple boosts with Jin, and I think there was another card that helped out, or maybe just the general stuff like something like the Utility Interrupt, Transmission Terminated. Probably not super key in No Idea because it has spies that can go to the Hollow Theater, like against Huntdown. That card, Transmission Terminated V, is like an anti-Huntdown card in a lot of ways, and anti-cloaking, and what's the other card? I think it's Starship Weapons as well, right? All right, so Grappling Hook V, good grabber. Comscan Detection, Uchigrita Solo. This probably not a card he's too heartbroken of losing because the Undercover Jin is not as relevant. And I'm sure he's got other ways to get. Oh, actually, I lost this too. Another OG Jin Urso counter, I'll say. They both go off the top. Handles, sometimes a No Idea, not really too often. Lone Falcon, that's not really too common, but it is possible for No Idea. Starship Weapon, so it's the anti-Lieutenant Tarn Meissen card, which means that I'm anti that card. It's a very good utility interrupt. That I like these utility interrupts just because with every set that comes out, there's more cards. Decks become tighter, it becomes harder and more difficult to make decisions on what do you cut, what do you keep, what do you add, and those cards just kind of condense it. It's basically, in my mind, it's like instead of expanding from 60 cards per deck to 70 or 75 or 65, you get those cards that kind of help balance out outlier matchups, and make sure you're not caught in a gotcha situation. All right, so we just go to Nathan's draw phase, and he definitely wants to replenish his hand. It was getting pretty low. And with that, I'll show the image spoiler here. So I'll put it around the right side of the screen. So this is the Perfect Attendance / Top 16 AI foil slate for the Online Championship Series. It is Make 10 Men. What is it? Feel like 100? I should know the exact name. Make 10 Men Feel Like 100. Yes. So we have this pretty sweet image of Chirrut and Baze. So all players, if you're a top 16 finisher and you played 70 or more of the 72 possible games, you get 2. If you are either one of those, you get 1. So that is the image as Nathan's going to play Escape Pod, and we're doomed. Pull Hujix in Matthew's activate phase. So that'll be, these will start going out in probably October at the end of the year once we, actually, I guess this year as I'll take this down now to not obstruct from the action, but this year we're February, March, April, break in May, and then June, July, August. So yeah, there's just no September because Worlds is in September. So yeah, I guess we'll know who's in the top 16 and know who the Perfect Attendance people are as soon as September 1st, really, with some certainty. So that's why I guess in theory we can start getting them out. And Kevin Yop does an awesome job at printing these and providing them timely to me and providing them timely to the European community directly. All right, so back to the action. Hujix into the hand, drain at the audience chamber now that Matthew can drain for free. Transmission Terminated V from hand is tossed, and that was one I was just talking about. And Chirrut, who we just had on the screen with the AI. So yeah, this does a bunch of things, kind of like Comscan Detection. Comscan Detection does a bunch of things. May not use tractor beams, fire weapons, or cloaks, so take that bat mouse with your tractor beams. Cancel a hologram, so that could be Image of the Dark Lord V. It could be obviously Visage V. I think Visage V is susceptible to this. Phantom Menace. Cancel the game text of Emperor's Power, so that really cut down on or it was a hit to bring him before me as viable or Admiral's Order, and that's a loss function. So, like Thrawn will play a lot of Admiral's Orders. And Dero V comes out. And he's going to download a droid or a restraining bolt. Presumably it's going to be IG-88V, and then he could start tunneling into his force pile each turn to finding key cards. Alright, so see if the gun is transferred. So the evasion interrupt, which I learned this the hard way one time. I should know the name of it. It's not He's All Yours Bounty Hunter. It's the new one. That's a great image of Fett and Vader. Cancels the battle, but I think Fett needs to be escorting the captive for that to happen. So you make a trade-off. I just forget what that thing does. I don't even know the name of it to figure it out. As Prince Shizor goes to the Carbonite Chamber, so now he's on 3 battlegrounds. He's going to transfer the Mithril over to IG-88. Yeah, you must escort with Boba to be able to use that interrupt that basically acts as a immune to sense battle canceller. But then, of course, if you have Boba's escorting the captive, you can't tunnel. So it's really to help in that first, 1, 2, maybe even 3 turns. But then, by turn 3, it potentially, or it should probably be by turn 3, you get the Mithril over to IG-88, and you could start looking for other stuff. CCT plays stuff like barriers and might play projected telepathy. Can't play Stunning Leader because the Mithril says you can't. Cancels Stunning Leader. Well, it says you can play it, but it cancels it. So, which I think I've seen happen in a game before. All right, so IG-88 grabs a card now after the Mithril was transferred during the move phase. And we are going to pass the turn to Nathan's turn 3. So yeah, still early game, not too much action. We'll try to integrate some PSAs as we have a Masterful Move combo to upload a hologram to Jarek or Holotable. So early April here, so the April OCS just kicked off, so it's the 3rd of 6 qualifier months, so you could sign up for just a standalone month if you haven't done the season pass or haven't or going on that basis through the store.starwarsccg.org. But I should know the number off the top of the head. How many Googling might know, and I think it's in the chat, the number of season passes that we had for this year. I know that the Vader V, I think, really attracted people to play in the OCS, because in communicating with Kevin on the number of slips that we're going to need for the February 2024 OCS, we need a lot of Vader Vs printed out. IG-88 pulls a card, Stardust, Imperial Artillery off the top. So that's going on. GEMPC now, of course, we only have 4 players left now. This is really winding down. We're going to have a couple events coming up, more retro-based. Actually, retro and open, but probably in the next week or so, we're going to have the details come out about the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary event that's going to have both a Premiere to Tatooine retro angle. That's a format was recently created in GEMP, thanks to Jeremy DiPaolo and Echo Base Trooper, Adam Fletcher. And then there's going to be an open one that has a scavenger hunt list. So it's going to be geared towards, hey, you got to win the game. We don't want people just to go crazy to accomplish these objectives, or these, I guess, not lowercase objectives, we'll say, but also kind of keep it fun and thematic as well. As Jabba Space Cruiser lost off the top, and Aura, EPP Aura. I'm going to verify here. But so that'll be coming up. That'll start, I think, it's going to basically be 25 days leading right up to the actual 25th anniversary date, which I think is May 19th. And then we're going to have the annual online retro event. That's not going to start until mid-May. But details will probably be coming out in the next couple weeks, as we have Luke Skywalker V, AI in Rogue One AI, 2 beautiful images. So those will be coming on May. Of course, there will be no OCS month, so that'll be a good opportunity for people to engage in maybe these, more casual but fun. And obviously there's going to be, I guess, the 2 retro. Maybe we'll make it so that the annual online retro event doesn't start until the Phantom Menace events conclude. I think that would make sense. It's a cool image. You must have scored Boba 99 season pass holders. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, Rots can play 3. Yeah, and it's one of those ones that, I said this before, like in a perfect world, like all the OCSs, we have a barrier on Luke and Rogue One. That's interesting. I wonder if he doesn't want anyone else to come aboard, um, potentially battle. Um, in a perfect world, we have great images for cards that are frequently used as 2 ofs in decks, and we use them for the OCS months when you get 2 copies. Not always the case, but then also at the same time, not every single person plays in the OCS, so if there is like a card that you only need 1 of for a deck, but you earn 2 by playing 12 games in a month, trade it with other people. They might have some things that you want, and maybe you're more able to go to in-person major events where there are exclusive foil slips for those, but you're someone who, a little more bound to playing online. Trade your extra, I guess for March, like always 2 they are. Very rarely see 2 of those in a deck. Trade one of them for like the Corellia V AI, which is the AI for this Eclipse Major this weekend, and it's going to be for I think 2 of the European regional events. Ryloth is I think next weekend, if I believe, the Ryloth regional, um, and then the Tula regional is going to be this day after Euros. As with the action, we have Ray, so he tunnels with the card, and Blount come down. So, it's a shrewd move of MHG not taking any chances here because he's not going to be able to really battle 2 of with Ray and Blount. Blount could soak up 6. But yeah, so that's what I recommend for the AI. So a lot going on. I got to iron out the prize support. I have some good ideas for the prize support for the Phantom Menace celebration. I'm definitely going to be doing extra. I have extras of the Thoughts You Dwell on Your Mother AI with Anakin on it. That's a beautiful image as well. We use that for Mother's Day in October event, but it's going to be coincide with Mother's Day, and to some extent, or it definitely will. Mother's Day will be during that 25-day lead up, so it'll be appropriate. And of course, it'll be appropriate because it's an episode 1 quote for a episode 1 25th anniversary event. So that's what we have kind of going on. And then in June, the OCS return. There's like I said, there's the European Major. Euros will be, I think it's the 3rd weekend in May. Like I said, Tula Regional is the day after. Euros is going to be a 1-day event on a Saturday. But no U.S. majors until August, I think it's 9th in New Jersey. That was announced pretty recently. But, the leagues are going to start getting involved, and there'll probably be a bunch of regional events or regional championship events that are going to start getting scheduled in like June, July, August. But May will probably be like a relatively slow month just because it won't have OCS and won't have like a GEMPC or a Jawa Cup or stuff like that. All right, so MHD activates here at the beginning of his turn 4, tunnels with a 13-card force pile. Presumably he's going to want to punch back here in space. That's what I would do, but I'm not, star player by any means, and definitely not someone super duper familiar with CCT. If anyone's in the chat has kind of been in this place before, I'd be curious to hear what you guys think of. Should he kind of put the pressure on in space and try to battle into that, maybe get a scum retrieval, try to chip away at those pilots? I think one of the issues with scum is a lot of the ships don't have many pilot spots, so it's hard to get their power up. And obviously not Lightside's not a ton of power right now either, but Honshu and the Falcon is pretty powerful, and some of their capitals, and you can add usually 2-3 pilots to them. But a lot of these scum ships are like 1 to 2 pilots. Artillery is played and grabbed. That's going to ping Nathan for 1. Corn, Horn, and Vanden Willard V were lost both off the top. Combined fleet action also lost off the top to the Carbonite Chamber Drain. So looks like 24 to 23 in favor of Nathan with cards down. Matt's got a couple more cards in his hand, so pretty even so far. Board state. Interesting. I mean, both sides are threatening us 3 damage for free now. So I think how this space situation plays out will be a big determinant in how we go here. So let's see some good feedback in chat. Thank you, James, for plugging Euro Championship in Tula. Lost a Space Cruiser. Yeah, that was top decked. So other ships that he might have. So he might have a Zuckuss, right? Of some sort. And yeah, Dengar on Punishing 1 would be big thing. Just adds to the total battle destiny and also cancels all immunity. Alright, so MHG is going to use the Jabba's Haven V once per game retrieval of a independent ship or a alien to get the Space Cruiser back. So that's presumably meaning he's going to throw some stuff at the Scarif system. Yep, here comes Space Cruiser. V has a permanent pilot of ability 2. Can download an Alien Leader. Let's see if he does that with an 11-card reserve deck. Looks like no, presumably because he knew that none were in there, because he probably went in there already, right? Or maybe not. Maybe he just knows it's in his force pile, knows it's in his hand. So that's, he just doesn't want to give away a verify. Or, all right, so he has Stinger, non-V, Tentacle V comes out. Goldenrod comes out, so that's going to make, if Guri gets deployed, she's going to cost 2. Which might start to squeeze Matt's force pile here, because he's probably going to want, there's Proxima from hand. So she's going to add a Battle Destiny. And she's deployed -1, of course, because of Scum. So this is key, because obviously if you're no idea here, you're really wanting to find like the sand effect, because you don't want these extra Battle Destinies. So obviously Matthew's taking advantage of that's not out right now. So he's gonna, and he doesn't have, if he is playing Zuckuss and Mist Hunter V, or Zuckuss and Forlam, Zuckuss and Forlam in Mist Hunter, that prevents multiple Battle Destinies and also Power Destinies. So, and that would actually work against him as well. So he doesn't want to come out with that until he needs to. It would be a little counterproductive here. He's going to add a Battle Destiny with Proxima. If he's got the Guri, which probably, if he's playing Stinger, he's got to be playing Guri, right? No one plays Stinger without Guri. But if she goes down, it would cost 2. It's going to cost 1 to battle. He'll then have no force left in his force pile. He can't retrieve with Scum. Go to the battle phase. Here comes the battle. He is going to retrieve with Scum. Or I guess he's going to be presented with the opportunity to. Probably going to, right? Because he can activate 1 on Lightside's turn for whatever he might need. Yeah, thanks, Dan. Thanks, James. Right now I'm very motivated to get a lot of this prize support just kind of worked down, because for a while it was there was a lot of boxes in my garage, and now it's really getting consolidated. So between donations and league kits and just some other stuff here and there, it's really starting to look more orderly. So Matt's going to draw big here. Oh no, he retrieved the artillery. He didn't draw the artillery. Drew a 5 and 4, still pretty good. Till about us 9. So that's going to be 2 pilots from Nathan's ship, and he draws a 2, which is not good because that's all the ships are immune, if I'm not mistaken. No, this is not. It is because of the objective. Less than 4. Typically, if not for the objective, it needs Gurion to have immunity, but CCT. bibfortuna is going to pay 1 to retrieve 1 because he drew a Rebel Spy and Corporal Pow. Plays Jedi Lev to cancel and redraw. I guess he's hoping to draw a 4 so he can make Matthew lose something. And he just draws another spy. So I think if he had the force, is it every time? Once per battle. Nope. That might have been a change. I don't know if it was like that initially. That card was rotted, and in reference to one of my other comments in the chat, this card is... Oh, it's not showing here. It has been eroded once already. Because I used to make spies -1 everywhere when it first came out. Alright, so Blunt, he's 18 battle damage, so he not only needs to lose 2 pilots to satisfy the attrition, but he's going to need to lose 2 pilots plus 5. So keep in mind, this is game 1. This is a differential match play, so he's going to be fighting and clawing for every force here, and they're going to have to play this out to the end. One thing, let me just check real quick, just for a PSA here. The second game, scheduled results, second game is TBD. Okay, so we don't have a time on that one yet. So Nathan Peel's Bodhi from use pile, Corporal Pow from use pile, Jedi Lev V from use pile, which you saw him play, Sabotage V from use pile, and Ascension's Gun V from use pile, which is a fun card. It can be very good in certain situations. I think Eric Hunter was helping with one of the streams last week, and he was referencing, or I made a joke in the chat about Collision and how he likes that card. And I think Ascension Guns V pairs well with Collision, because especially in decks like EBO and No Idea that have a lot of characters and ships that are often Destiny 1 and 2. So you play Ascension's Gun V to look at the top 2 cards, leave the low Destiny card, pay your 1 force to play the Collision card from way back in 1995 Premier expansion, and you can turn 2 Star Destroyers into 1 real quick. Alright, so Zuckuss with Snare Rifle, top decked, and there's Chelly. Zuckuss and Snare Rifle is the foil slip for the GEMPC. So This has been going out to anyone who participated. And there are a bunch of people that I ran out of this, but I wanted to get your shipment out, so I noted I gave you the AI for the event, which is Admiral Radis with the border breaking, and I gave you the poker chip, which is for all participation. But some people, the Zuckus, you're kind of in an in between zone. Now they have more, so now they're going out. But be assured that if you did not get something that you were supposed to get, I have a spreadsheet that tracks it all. Matthew loses. They're still coming through from hand to the Stardust ping. Nathan gets a force back with Luke. Looks like checks his reserve deck, gets a verify. Yeah, so with a 7-card hand with Bib here, let's see how he tries to reinforce space. Okay, we got laser resistance transport. Did he retrieve? He just lost Ray, right? So unless he's got a second Ray, there she is, the AI Ray. I think a great image too. This is one of the deck box images from Series 1, which I think Matt Lutz, CRG, does not like this image. He said it multiple times, but I think it's very good. So he's going to tunnel for a card, or scavenge, I should say. Scavenge for a card in his use pile. Yeah, now it's something I was actually just going to mention, Nick H. A lot of the top tier donors, the people that are getting uncut sheets, several of them I just got out the door, everything I had, into a box. And the tubes will come later with the uncut sheet and any other items that kind of straggle, like the playmats, for example. Like those I didn't get until more recently, but those pair well with the uncut sheets, so the playmat just gets rolled up and put in. All right, Brave Little Droid and Jin Ursa Heroic Rebel. So there's a bunch of people I have as like partially sent their donation incentives. And basically in the next week or 2 or 3 at most, hopefully all those tubes are going to be going out. It's going to be a big tube day pretty soon. And I'll send a picture out like I did last year of an entire legion of my best tubes. But there's going to be probably like 20, 25 of those. All right, so Tentacle V is used to grab Ascension's Gun V. R2 Brave Little Droid, of course, can cancel any Battle Destiny by going to the use pile. He's a very good card. It's also not cheap, but the 4 deploy sometimes could be... but he's been showing up in a lot of different decks. Sometimes I see him in, like, Watch Your Step. No idea. I think I see him every so often in WAP, right? He can go in WAP. And we have a battle back here from Nathan. Both players are scheduled to draw 2 Battle Destinies. But, of course, Nathan can cancel 1. There's no immunity on the transport, so... I mean, Lightside's going to have to lose something. And then you wonder to what extent it's going to be vulnerable to a punch back. But, yeah, got to do it. Got to do what you can here. The hand sizes are pretty similar. Dark Side's up about 4 force face down. So Dark Side's up 6 total when you compare life and hand. And it looks like... it's going to be interesting here. The battle, there's a... Dark and Space, for people just listening, got Symbol of Fear with CAD and Mid. Space Cruiser V with Proxima. And just a Stinger. Lightside's got R2 Brave Little Droid on Rogue One, along with Luke Skywalker V and Jin Heroic Rebel, who's right now just forfeit fodder, right? Wild Star that's on your spy adds 1 battle destiny. So she works in space, but the other part, the force train, doesn't work. If just lost, opponent loses 1 force. So he can kind of like suicide her to cause a ping. R2 goes to use pile to cancel the 5. Light drew a 5 and a 1 for Battle Destiny. Gets the +1 from Ray, so that's going to be 7 total. And we'll knock out 2 dark cards. Darkseid wins the battle with 8 more power. And Lightside, no idea, is going to lose Ray. And 1 more in battle damage, it looks like. Dark needs to lose 2 cards, because none of them are forfeit 7. Let's see. So Matthews is considering what to lose. Timer, Matthews at around 27 minutes. Bib is at 35. So it's about an 8 minute. I can call it 7.5. I was doing some rounding there. 7.5 minute difference. And now he's deliberating what 2 things to lose. Not an easy choice, because if he's found Guri, or he can find Guri, he really wants to keep Stinger there, because that adds the Battle Destiny. Proxima adding the Battle Destinies is key. But does he want to lose both of his pilots on the Slave 1, which are Mitt and Cad? And Nathan peels for his final force at Hear Me Baby V off reserve deck. And Matthew does lose Mitt, so he loses the 2 pilots on the Symbol of Fear. The one he drew, yeah. So presumably, Matthew's got 7 cards in hand, and he can tunnel. So he's definitely going to be throwing something, probably multiple things at Scarif. Maybe 1 or 2 pilots, maybe another ship. Probably my bet would be like Guri and like some alien pilot to go on the Slave 1. But Guri's going to the Stinger. Alright. Grappling Hook, he's going to shuffle the reserve deck after Matthew activates 1 force. The once per game shuffle. Call this, I was talking a little earlier about utility interrupts. This is like a utility grabber. Because it makes Rebel Barrier lost. It also grabs, and it's like a sticky grab, right? Because it grabs more than 1. Whereas like the Tentacle non-V just grabs 1, which ran into a few of them in my Retro League game last week against Johnny Chu. He played 2 different Tentacles and grabbed 2 different cards. Alright. So Matthew's going to tunnel for a card here. Decision. This reminds me, because Matthew's obviously very, very, very good with Quiet Mining Colony as well. And this similar mechanic of making decisions of what cards to pull into your hand each turn. Or 1 card, I guess. They're keeping the Empire out forever versus this IGD8V tunneling aspect. And very strong mechanic. And it definitely involves a lot of thinking. Because what do I need most now? It involves kind of thinking 2-3 turns out rather than just like, oh, let me just do this. But then it's like, well, wait a minute, this other card might be more helpful in the grand scheme of things. All right, choose the force with favorite decoration, which was Mitt Ron Naruto, and Luke, EPP Luke, and Captain Hera off of Nathan's reserve. Captain Hera reminds me, that's really one of the best images I feel like we've ever got. The cosplayer is very good, and we several years ago, even before I came back to the game, I believe it was 2016, there was like a border breaking Captain Hera. I think it was used for Worlds and Euros, where like her, I don't know what's the term for the Twi'leks with the tails. It kind of breaks through to the lore. And an interesting thing, one of our Advocate Award winners this year, when asked what card he wanted to have foilized and have Advocate Award winner imprinted in the lore, Eric from the Netherlands asked for that border breaker, and it came out really good. So we kind of rejuvenated that, and now I think that'll help with integrating that into the whole remastered process of cards, so it looks nice and crisp and clear. All right, so there's our Guri that we've been referencing a little bit. Woof V, who's good in subtracting 1 from each Battle Destiny. Hondo Onaka as Pilot on Slave 1, so kind of as we were foreshadowing, here comes 3 more characters. I guess all 3 pilots, right? For a total of 5 force. Matthew still has 6 force to work with. This is a game that's probably going to go like 90 minutes or so. Just with a lot of the retrieval, but Nathan's. Yeah, this is going to be tough. This is going to be a pretty rough battle. So right now, Dark has 21 power plus 3 destiny. Light has 8 power plus 1 destiny. And Light's destinies are going to be -1. And this might do a bunch. Why is Jin not adding a battle destiny now, right? Isn't it? While Stardust on your spy, Jin adds 1 battle destiny. Stardust is on a spy. Pilot. Shouldn't that be 2? Did I miss something? Guri, duh. Guri prevents more than 1 battle destiny. Put him in Hydra more than battle destiny. Yes, thank you, Tiberius and Steve Buscemi. Yeah, so woof, big, literally woof, because he's piloting, but woof in that, that is a big swing of who controls the Scarif system between Guri and woof and the battle destinies, and Matt drew 4 for his battle destinies for a total of 12, and Nathan drew a 2, Taidu Cephala, which would allow him to retrieve 1, but I don't think he has the force to pay for it, right? Right, with 10 men, so I don't think he prompted it. Cadden still coming through retrieve because of Scum. And Bib is going to lose everything at the system because he was outpowered by 23. and had 12 attrition, so 23. Resistance transport was 5, got to 18. Jin covered another 5, pinged for 1, got down to 13, and then Luke 7, Rogue 1. So all that plus 1, which was Tayudu who was just drawn. So Rogue 1, yeah, forfeit 5. So, yeah, pretty consequential battle there. This is not good for bibfortuna here. So we'll see where this goes from here. Matthew's going to draw a card. Now HUD is the top card of his lost pile. Pretty sure that's intentionally so, right? I don't. Again, as we talked about earlier, with the way the space battle typically plays out, you know, Dark doesn't want to put that out there initially. All right, so IGD is going to tunnel here on Lightside's turn. This is one of the newer cards too. This is a set 23 preview card. So it uploads Thrawn, or in this case it would be Mitt. During battle, players may not draw power or attrition destinies. So yeah, that would be what Zuckuss and Forlom and Miss Hunter would do. But as we saw, there was a Zuckuss with snare rifle. Once per game, 2 systems. This is like an anti-Yavin 4 operations or hidden base. Get your Dreadnought from off of your knowledge and defense B. Alright, so ping here with Stardust, P59, he's going to pay the 2. So Nathan's probably in differential management mode right here, as we see Ghana Gimort and a Dark Time for the Rebellion combo off the top. Coach. Who's coach? Oh yeah, good point, James. Yeah, if the Dreadnought comes out, it would suspend Scum, but maybe the plan is just for it to be pretty temporarily. New Jin comes out to the Vault. Cassian Andor is going to pick up the Stardust. So now this is going to be a drain. So basically 2 drains of 2 on the ground here. He's got to pay for both, obviously. As Chris Kelly calls this is the Big Trooper. Big Trooper goes to the beach, so reinforcing there with a power of 9. Moves Cassian over. Support the Vault. Yeah, good point, Kessling. Yeah, you might as well have it in there. If you don't want to play it, you don't have to play it. If it's in the sideboard, the Dreadnought, that is. But maybe like hit and run with it or something. Use it as a way to probe against hidden base. Alright, so we go to Matthew's turn 6. Go to the control phase. He's got 26 hand in life versus Nathan's 19 hand in life. He's about to push through, looks like 4 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that'll apparently drive the differential from, 7 down to 11. So, right, it'll be 26 to 15 when this is all done, which looks like it is. Tilly's Maneuver V, Unita V off the top. That's either a second layer resistance transport or one that was retrieved. IG-88 tunnel. I might get to a point here where, I don't think we're going to have a situation where there's like a fighting and clawing to the bitter end here. I think Nathan's going to have to make a decision at some point to when do I just draw up to make sure he doesn't keep retrieving with the objective and battling into me, even if he's just like doing hit and runs, just to get, two force here, 2 force there. Luke Skywalker V is no longer on the table, so he's not retrieving. It sounds like he will be able to push through. Looks like 5 damage if he pays for it. So that'll be helpful, but it's probably gonna get to a point where it's not gonna be worth it because Matthew's got 7 card hand. He probably has 2 or 3 characters he can throw at something here. Even just almost like a, he's probably got a Gick or 2. And you could just probably find ways to just keep inching up the differential. Yeah, MHT is at 20, face down with 7 in hand. MHT is going to use Proxima to take Aura with Blaster Rifle into hand. So yeah, that's the other thing. He's got EPPs, he can throw that. Because Cassian can cancel. Cassian is with Jin, Heroic Rebel. He can cancel a weapon or battle. Destiny. So if you have like a weapon in there, you can even more of like a hit and run. You can kind of guarantee yourself that you're getting rid of somebody. Light set, of course, is flipped still. So all these spies have defense value +2. But MHT's been filtering that deck, so he's probably got a lot of like red cards and probably relatively high destiny now that we're at turn 6. And maybe not. There's a lot of characters floating around. So yeah, so we did our image spoiler. We talked about what's coming up, what's going on, what's coming up over the next couple months, what's going on right now. The winner of the GEMPC, I think the winner and second place both get uncut sheets. We had a donation from, let me pull this up real quick, prize support, an old gold squadron member, Jim Haskell. So we have Reflections 3 Dark Side Premium uncut sheet. Winner gets a choice of that or a New Hope Light Side Rare BB. So that's got like Chewbacca, R2D2, some real fun OG stuff. Got a signed Mara Talon Korin and a sealed Premier Japanese booster pack. So pretty good top 4 prizes as get back to the action here with EPP Dengar, EPP Mara. And he's probably, he's just gonna suicide at the beach here. Or not even, maybe not even like, I think a suicide here with respect to the game of like, fight Gick, just like kind of know that your character is gonna get overpowered, but battle, get the ping retrieval, or get the retrieval with Scum, and try to chip away at a character or 2. And then just know that you're not going to get totally overwhelmed because you got a Gick in hand and might not even necessarily need one. But yeah, so some pretty cool prizes for the top 4 here. Like I mentioned, the participation prizes. Top 8 will get Dr. Evazan. That's not a Dr. Evazan combo to pair with these 2 weapons. We see an Antilles Maneuver V on top of Nathan's Lost Pile. We had a Sabotage V floating around. It's a matter of, did he get those back? Is he running multiples of them? Has anti-weapons aid. Of course, he has the objective to protect from one of these weapons, but effectively it's 3 because Dengar can shoot twice and Mara can swing. So this, he's going to get rid of some characters here, whether it's 1 or all 3. But if he gets rid of Saul, for example, then Light doesn't even get a battle destiny, so Dark's not losing anybody then. And then Dark has the beach, so that's going to be a drain too. Because in all likelihood, Dark is probably only losing 1 character here. Maybe not, because Saul adds 1 to attrition for each character. So if... Mara's 4/7. So basically if Light draws a 5, he can knock out 2 characters. But otherwise, it's probably just going to be 1. Alright, so he takes the first shot with Dengar. He declined the Scum Retrieval. Hits Jerome Webb, and Jerome Webb goes immediately to the Lost Pile after he's operated on. Alright, so now he has 2 more weapons. And yeah, it's getting to the point here where Nathan's probably only going to be able to really threaten 3 damage a turn. And Matthew's retrieving at least 1, potentially 3 if he's battling. And it might give him a hand to possibly do some... Effectively, Matthew might be filtering out the characters from his hand. And maybe trying to get like red cards in his hand that he can cycle and really try to just stretch this out. And this is one thing I mentioned before. Okay, so Sabotage V, we'll cancel that one, and then he could use the objective to cancel the 3rd targeting. So he definitely wanted to make sure that, I guess, Saul didn't get killed, because Saul guarantees that he gets a battle destiny. Matthew draws a 5 for Battle Destiny. Nathan's down to 12 cards face down, 2 in hand, so 14 versus Matthew's 24. And Nathan draws a 5, so that's good. So he +3, so he's going to kill 2 of these characters, right? They're forfeits 4, 7, 6, respectively. And Dengar's going to go, so yeah, probably Dengar and a Vazin would be my bet. Although a Vazin can draw by Battle Destiny by his own, even if he loses Mara, but the weapons are always a good thing. I shouldn't say that. Sometimes they could be a liability. Alright, so Dr. E goes, Saw and Mara survive at the beach. I don't think Matthew does all this if he doesn't have a Gick in hand, so like, you know, he's not going to risk a counter beat here with Nathan being able to move in his control phase with his objective, move either Cassian or Jin over. Both be pretty good. One can cancel a Battle Destiny or a Weapon Destiny. The other one would add a Battle Destiny. But it's very unlikely that Mara's going to get overwhelmed here. And if she is, he probably has a Gick in all likelihood. Yeah, and if Matthew was really worried, if he didn't have a Gick, he could land one of those, I guess, 2 start fighters. This moves and deploys like a... No, it doesn't. Maybe I'm thinking, does the non-B? Probably not. It's a capital. Can check that. Space Cruiser. The Space Cruiser... No, it does not. Oh, it does. Yeah, there we go. Deploys and moves like a starfighter. Look at that. But this one does not. So he does land Slave 1 and reinforces here with Roof and Hondo. And yeah, this doesn't look great for Nathan. He's got 2 cards in hand here. He's going to probably just doing some math on what's the best case scenario I can get here. Yeah, so of course the second matchup, so Nathan will be dark. He will have to overcome whatever differential here. And like I said before, the game 2 is TBD, so not sure exactly when or who will be covering that. Interesting now, just with our major going on this weekend, with a lot of the people that are very active, and especially on the commentary team, might be tied up. So we'll see. Hopefully, we'll figure something out. The other semifinal is Kessling, who I think is at, I'm almost positive is at the Eclipse event. As we have the Tentacles Shuffle, the once per game. We had that up before here, right? So if we go schedule, I think they're playing, Tuesday. So Logan and Mike Kessling are playing Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and then the next one is going to be the next night. So Tuesday and Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, will be the other semifinal. Yeah, thank you, Goglin. All right, so we have the activation with the console, Stardust Pings, that's free damage, why not? Matthew's definitely going to lose a card from hand here. Unless he has like 5 used interrupts in his hand. Yeah. Oh, Greedo from reserve deck. Interesting. Well, I guess he knows that Nathan's not going to draw up because he didn't activate everything. So yeah, he doesn't have to worry about losing his chance to cycle cards. Put it that way. Nathan is going to pay 3 to drain for 2. Let's see now where Matthew loses from. Sometimes I see commentators be critical in these. There's definitely reasons why you would want to top deck instead of losing cards in your hand at this point. This is not the very, very end here. Like we said, Nathan didn't activate everything, so he can't end the turn or end the game here and make it seem like, oh, Matt, like, why'd you have some more cards in your hand and not pad your differential a couple more? I'm sure there's a reason. There's probably some combination of use interrupts or characters that he can throw down and scum with anywhere really. Like, if he's got like a Gick and a character, he can just battle into Jin, get the retrieval. Again, losing cards from your hand in the process of retrieving cards back into your reserve deck, and then you can probably battle again at the beach here. There's definitely reasons why it would make sense to lose from reserve deck here. All right, so we have Ezra go to the beach and a battle back here from Nathan. But yeah, this event started, what was it, like early, like mid-January? 128 people started, which is a great job. Big thanks to Batmouse and Christian Dahl, our tournament advocate, for handling the logistics, especially show as it goes on, like with decklist. And thank you to the decklist team, like James and Brad and Sean. That's something I didn't get into. Maybe I'll talk about it in a moment. Battle Destiny of Mighty Jabba and not Thin Sight or Reach for 5. That gets canceled by Andor. So, I mean, Matthew's probably just going to lose like a ship here, maybe. Maybe more, because he's going to get the attrition bonus. Nathan probably knows what, he definitely knows what that one card is reserved deck, because I think it's probably the 5, right? That he drew on Matthew's turn. But the deck lists for this time were submitted out to 4. Torn Far, +3. So he could just lose Mara and nothing else, or he could lose 2 other things. Everyone had to submit their decks before the top 8 started, but they could submit different decks for each, the quarterfinal, semifinal, and final. So you could have obviously a pretty high degree of certainty of who you know exactly who you're playing in the top 8. So you could pick your deck based on that, and then you could pick your semifinal deck and submit that based on 2 possible future opponents. And then in theory, you'd have 4 possible opponents in the finals, but then I think that'd be kind of a rabbit hole to really go down of, like, you're trying to figure out, would someone really try to figure out tendencies of the 4 other people 3 steps down the line, and at that point it's just play the best deck or play the deck you're most comfortable with that is the strongest, and go from there. But for the top 8 and the top 4, you could see some process of trying to figure out, okay, who am I possibly playing, who am I likely to play, what are their decks of note that they're known to play, maybe do some tweaks, have a couple tech cards, and then just lock it in before even the first quarterfinal game is played. All right, so he loses Slave 1 and Woof. So Hondo and Mara are back. So yeah, he's definitely going to battle back at the beach here no matter what, get the scum retrieval. He already used the Jabba's Haven retrieval to get the Space Cruiser back that he top decked early. He hasn't used his grabber yet, so Nathan can't like cycle a card without the risk of it just gets locked over there. Nathan didn't grab a card yet this whole game either. Well, he did with Tentacle, or not Tentacle, Grappling Hook, but he didn't with his shield. No shield shenanigans in this game. Both Matthews only played 3, Nathan's played 4, but not really like he needed any other ones. And we go to Matthew's turn 7 here. Activates 10 instead of the maximum of 13. Activates a couple more. Still in the activate phase. He has used more clock, but I think Matthew's pretty known for that, to just be very methodical. Usually works out pretty well, because 45 minutes is still a pretty decent amount of time, even for a grindy deck like CCT. The tricky thing, I think, is if you get into 2 like this versus like OA, for example, or at least the old OA, maybe not so much anymore. Yeah, all right, so he's still activating another 1, so he leaves 3. So I think he ended up activating the maximum, yeah. So he could do the proximate peak if he wants, but that might be a risk of just like taking a card in the hand that he doesn't want to. He's at 18 plus 3, and Nathan's at 9 plus 3. So it's up 9, but of course now there's going to be a round of damage push through here from Dark Side of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? I think before I counted that as 4, but it should have been 5. Chad Hills off the top until he's moved from hand. Torn Far V, Rushkat Melski, and there's Hanshin the Falcon also off the top. Retrieval from my favorite decoration. Gets back Symbol of Fear. And we're kind of coming in for a landing here, so to speak. EPP Aura to the, this is where it gets tricky, because he's going to initiate 2 battles here. Going to get 4 force back. So that's going to put him, was that 14, 19? He's got him up to 23. Someone mentioned 24 is a big number. That was Jared. And that might be where we get to. Because, yeah, he's probably going to wipe. Does Jin have any immunity? No, right? Immune under cover. Nope. So she's definitely going away. Very likely one of these characters is going away. So Nathan's not gonna have any force scheduled for his turn. Oh yeah, the sight cancels it, of course. Yeah, that's why you can't place Force Lightning there, because immunity's canceled. So Jin's definitely going to the lost pile here. Woof V and Probot retrieved. Is he gonna shoot or is he just gonna draw? Probably just draw, right? Yeah, just draws Battle Destiny of 4. Of course, he gets the +3 power bonus from Despair V. That's been out all game, every battle. While job is prized with Scum, your total power in all battles is +3. Yeah, that's a good point, Goglin. Although, he's not gonna be able to, right? He's still shy. He needs 4, and he's got 6 face down. So he's gonna ping right with Jin. And Matthew will probably lose a card from hand, but maybe not. Yes, there goes the Gick from hand. That's going to flip back. Matthew still has 2 cards in his reserve deck, so we're definitely going to see a battle here at the beach. Get another 2 back. Yeah, so this is where, last turn... So Nathan got some damage through, what was it, 3 damage? But it's a net negative, because then he extended the game another turn for the favorite decoration retrieval, and he allowed these 2 battles to happen, which basically are turning this from an 18-19 card differential into a 23. Yeah, I don't know. Some people who play this game more than me will probably tell you that there's a certain number that's almost like a critical number. There's an inflection point, because at some point you got to put a bunch of cards on the table, you got a bunch of cards in your hand, and then you kind of hit a boundary of, I can only do so much, and you start getting limited by, I need to keep these number of cards face down to try to come back and hit this certain differential, but I need to actually do stuff on the table too. So I think it's probably in that 22 range. You need to have a really good matchup, I think. But now, of course, these players can't change their decks. They can't change any contents of their decks for game 2. Whatever they're playing, they're playing. They don't know what they're playing, because, like I said, players could submit 1 deck for their top 8 match and 1 deck for their top 4 match, and they could be different. They don't have to be the same. At least I'm 90% sure that was my understanding, right? I can confirm that real quick, but that's how the deck lists work. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. But all right, so Fanfare to just shuffle his reserve deck, just see what his destinies are, initiate the battle. Oh, wait, he plays uses the Fanfare search in the battle after he's initiated and retrieved. Yeah, thank you, James. Yeah, James would know, because he's the decklist scribe leader. Chief decklist scribe. All right, so looks like they're just... I don't know who has the action here. Looks like Matthew's drawing. He draws a 1. Yeah, so it's not and that's, I think, encourages more honest... Not honest is not the right word. More just normal competition, rather than, in theory, I lost by 30. Let me come up with some total wacky brew that is a Hail Mary. If it hits, it's going to hit big, but it's probably going to lose, but your back's against the wall. It kind of stops that stuff from happening, which is probably more practical to execute in an online event rather than in-person match play. So we've been gradually moving towards this trend of locking decks and trying to cap any wonky deck list choices going forward. Earlier in the rounds, it's just logistically it would be too much at this point. But that might change. We've been having some great enhancements recently to GEMP, so maybe the deck list check function just gets more and more quick and automated, and then you can almost make it so that every round, players have to lock in their two decks, so you can't have some crazy game two deck choices, card choices. Kind of keeps things a little more mainstream. All right, so Mara goes to lost pile, Saul goes to lost pile. Nathan is definitely going to have to draw up here. Oh, gosh, yeah, then this happens. So even another reason. So he's going to toss the Mithril into the prison, retrieve 2 more. He has just enough to pay for it. Oof. So this is now going to be 25. Yes, that's another reason why, yeah, the draw up would have been prudent in retrospect. Yeah, okay. All right, so this is going to be 25, and Nathan's not going to be able to do any damage. He could play Walk then to Retrieve, but what does that do? That just extends it more. He doesn't want to do that. I'm trying to think if Matthew has any more things he can do. There's always some tricky stuff, like Galen Urso, for example, can put an effect in your use pile. Stuff like that's kind of sneaky helpful in match play, like Admiral Trench. You could throw him into your use pile at any point to make the ship immune for the rest of the turn. General Grievous, I think I saw Goglin do that recently in an OCS event where you can just pick up Grievous, and sometimes he's more valuable to have him and his lightsaber, and maybe even a stolen lightsaber in your hand. He's more valuable for that as cards to lose than to have him on the table. There are circumstances. So little stuff like that comes through in match play. All right, so I'm predicting here. Nathan's just going to activate and draw here. And then there's also the thing, too, about like lost piles, right? Because you want to minimize your lost pile. So, yeah, it'd be better for him just to activate and draw rather than, like there's sometimes it makes sense for you just to peel a bunch and like kind of, lose the game. I think we saw that in a pretty high-profile game. It may have been like Dylan versus Tom or someone like peeled a bunch. And it kind of just ended the game immediately and just clinched the win because it locked in the differential. Yeah, little stuff like that. If you're a newer player, especially newer to match play, it just comes with watching these streams and playing these events. Combination of both. Just kind of soaking up these little tips and tricks. And in my experience, I very, very often find myself, I wish I had done that to have 1 more card or 2 more cards, and wish I hadn't done that. Because somehow it seems more often than you would think that the full match comes down to just a couple cards. All right, so Nathan does activate it all. Matthew uses Mitt's text to force a ping if Ezra does move to the vault, and Nathan just goes to his draw phase, so he's going to draw, and this looks like it's going to be 25 for Matthew here in the semifinal. I'll call it semifinal number 1 because it's higher on the bracket, and we'll do just a super quick recap. So good game to both players. Yeah, like I said, I think it's a tough matchup for No Idea. Yeah, so we'll stay posted to the forum, stay posted to social media for the PC for the game 2 here. But the other semifinal is going to be playing their games Tuesday, Wednesday evening Eastern time, 9 p.m. Yeah, let's see. So it looks like Tuesday, they're saying. See you on Tuesday. So they'll be playing. So it might be like a doubleheader. Hopefully it's not at the exact same time as the other one, but we shall see. All right. Very possible. Yeah, so that's up here, 8 versus 800. And then we have down here Kessling versus Logan. And the winner will meet. And it will be very interesting if it's MHT and Kessling, because they met in the final of the GEMPC. I think it was 2 years ago. I think 3 years ago was the Joker King versus Dylan. 2 years ago was this matchup. MHT was victorious. Yeah, it was. And then 2013, Mike was the runner-up in 2013 also against Jump Tom. So Mike is, wow. I mean, that's super impressive. Like 3 straight Final Fours, we'll call it. And potentially 3 straight Final Confrontations. So, and I think they're both on the same team, too. They're both on New Allies, Mike and Matt. So, we'll see. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And